We're going to look at the beautiful 7 from the hijack position. Everyone folds to us. I mean, we're in a downswing at the session in this exact moment. So you're going to see the short stack. We're going to get furious before we top up right after this hand. I'm going to open this up to a size of 15. We're going to see the fold. We're going to have one customer from the big blind. He just flats our raise. So we're going to have flop with $30 in the pot. Flop is going to come Queen 9-7. Rainbow. Look at that. Now we are going to be really excited about this pot. When my opponent checks to me, I'm going to go for my standard size of 1/3 to half pot ish. We're going to blast off $12 here, and it's amazing when I see my opponent reach for raising chips. He raises to me for about half of what I have in my stack. I can't really count the raise, but I'm just gonna ship it all in here because the board is wet enough where he could be drawing to a straight, or he could just have an overpair. He's not gonna put the money in later streets, so I just want to get all the money in right now. I just put it in. My opponent doesn't like it. Here's the clip.
1-4-2. All in and a drink.
Potentially a buy-in too.
That is what he's gonna want. Wow. I'm not expecting that. All in and a drink.
I mean, he covers me, right?
No, 142.
142.
He's doubled up.
Trying to start. I mean, but no, I'm saying heavier. I mean, like, I feel like this is a fold, but like, I also can just call because I feel horrible for sucking out on you in 2 boards.
No,
Well, it is.
Wait, if I call,
you're live. You're live.
If I call, would you run it twice?
Sure.
Cool.
I have a set.
You have a set?
Set
Yeah.
versus a straight draw. Okay.
That means he's gonna suck me out twice.
Pause. A jack. Vote.
That's me.
Yeah. That's a new hot hand.
Oh,
quads. Unfortunately,
we're gonna win this one, and you gotta love live poker because I do a lot of talking, I do a lot of convincing, I do a lot of soul reading in this hand. So let's get into it right away. We're gonna raise things up, and as you can see, we're a little bit tired here, even break the chips. The person to our left is going to call. We're going to go to a flop of 7, 8, 9 all spades. Now here, we're just going to check with our entire range, and this player bets. When he uses the size of 15, I know he has a good hand that wants protection, right? So flop is 7, 8, 9, so he could have all the sets, he could have all the 2 pairs, he could have an already made straight. We're just going to give it a call. Turn is going to be the 4 of diamonds, doesn't change anything. It goes check, check, and the river peels off an offsuit queen. Now, I want to bet it and take it down, right? Because if my opponent has one of these strong hands, I need to be betting here, and I need to be betting big. The issue is, I misjudged the size of the pot, and I bet a bit small. So, I start talking to get some information. Come on, what are you waiting for?
Hold on, easy there, easy there.
He's like, fuck, he actually asked something. 7, 8, his range.
That's what you think I have?
No, I'm thinking like you. 7, 8, my range.
Is your range?
Yeah. I'll
Does 7-8 beat you?
When I just bring in the 7-8 conversation, and it should be my range as a 2 pair, my opponent gets stuck to those 2 cards and mentions them like 5 times. So I'm pretty sure he has a 7-8 here for the 2 pair. I know he's contemplating a call. I realize I went for a smaller size, so we gotta do some tricks at the table to get this opponent to fold and watch what I do. What?
7-8 beats you, or that's what you
I got
have?
flush.
Oh,
You can pay $20 to flip 1 card over.
2.
Right now. You can pay $20.
Tomfoolery. What's going on?
You can pay $20. Flip 1 card over. You pick.
Yo, where did you find this guy?
Chinatown, baby.
I found him.
Found him in Turkey.
$20. My card is valued $20.
Oh my god.
I would take the deal.
Exactly, right? Make an extra 20.
Yeah, it's funny. Alright, you wanna know what? I think I might just call the 40.
My opponent wants to go really bad, so it's time to give him a discount. If he flips over the king of spades, I don't think he's ever calling. Whatever, you want.
Why would I pay 20 and then...
No, because you can fold. If you pay 20, okay, I'll make it cheaper. 10.
10, dude.
10.
10 is a madman.
No, 10. No, 10 to see 1 card. You gotta give it to me. Pick one.
Oh shit. There's no way I let this guy talk me into this.
Oh my god.
It's a fucking spade! Oh no! but I actually do think he has the other spade in there now.
Don't say that.
Why would I want to show you a card if both are spades?
I made it cheap for him. If it's
Let's let him figure it out.
sure, make him lose money so he'll get mad. He'll call you at night. He'll be like, "What the fuck you make me that call?"
Can we see your hand?
Yeah.
You can see it?
No, yeah.
I mean, you can see my hand too.
I think you got ya.
It's alright. Pick the fucking. I knew I picked the spade. I was like, you know,
That's crazy that you fucking picked that.
That is going to be on the. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the true adrenaline in live poker. I mean, I think it was a good read on my end that I understood my opponent had a 2-pair there and went for the mind game that I had. But that's the beauty of live poker. You gotta love it. On to the next hand. After a couple of minutes, we're going to grab some pizza and look down at the old big slick. The low jack opens the action to $1.50. Happy to 3-bet here to 6. It falls back to the low jack, and now he's going to 4-bet me to $15. I usually don't like these spots because in live games, people ranges when 4-betting from the low jack is going to be a lot of aces and kings. But I know this player I'm facing is capable, and he's going to be more balanced in the spot, especially if he thinks I'm a very loose player in this game, which I was. In this home game, I'm happy to try to get it all in with 100-ish big blinds, which is 5-bet jam for 118 effective. Now, let's roll the clip and see what happens. How many times do you want?
You want to show or you want to just figure it out?
You call?
Yeah, I call. Hey.
You have a pair?
Yeah.
How good?
Yeah.
I don't have a pair. Ace king.
Ah, what's that?
I'm opening.
This is like 75-25.
Flip.
Oh!
It's a flip. That's me. Is it me?
Wait, another time?
Just like that, we're going to double up early on the session. Always feels amazing to win the good old flip. This one, we looked at the jacks from the cutoff. The player under the gun limps, the middle position 1 player raises to 8, and middle position 2 calls. We're going to try to isolate here, so I 3-bet to 30. Folds around to the big blind, who makes the call, and the middle position 2 is also going to call. We go 3 ways into the flop of ace king deuce with 2 clubs. Action checks to me, and I'm going to size down here to 25 as I would do with all my ace-x holdings multi-way. Big blind gets out of the way, and the middle position player makes the call. The turn is the queen of diamonds, and my opponent checks to me. I can have all the ace king, ace queen, and jack 10 here. My opponent has about 120 behind, which is less than the pot. I want to maximize my fold equity against potential flush draws with a pair of kings or hands of that nature, so I go all in here. My opponent quickly lets his cards go and the chips get pushed our way. We're going to find the very creative line with the jack 3 of hearts in the button. We open for $13 over 2 limpers. The reason I'm going for a smaller open here is I want to invite people to play a pop multi-way if possible, because this hand from the button should be very straightforward to play. The big blind, under the gun limper, and the middle position player calls. We go to a flop of king queen 3, 2 diamonds. Checks to us and I stab for $7 because it's multi-way. I know some players sitting across me will fold more than they should. We lose the big blind and the turn is the 5 of clubs. I continue for a size of 25, but it's still multi-way and only the big blind calls. The driver is a jack, giving us 2 pair. When checked to me, I think this opponent probably has a queen, 2nd pair at best. So from my read, I go for a small size of 50 to extract max value because I'm afraid that he might fold to a bigger bet. We get snapped off with our weird line and our 2 pair is good when our opponent shows king 6 of hearts. It's a $4 straddle on. Player on my right opens to 16 and I wanted to look very strong here, so I'll call 3-bet to 40 with an effective bluff. My read is that this table will vary under 4-bet, and when they do, they have jacks plus. Action folds all the way to the initial raiser now, who raises to 85. I apologize, but this size in a live game is not acceptable, giving me perfect odds to call. An opponent on my left is never ever going to go all in here with anything worse than kings or aces. Knowing that opponent on my left is likely to overcall, I put my money in. And as expected, we go 3 ways onto the flop of ace king 10 two-tone. This is as good as it's gonna get for me. However, the opponents could easily have aces, kings, or ace king. I'm not too worried about the opponent on my left, but the 4-better scares me on this board even though I have the 2 pair. The 4-better goes all in for $235 without thinking too much. and I go into the tank. Before you call me a nit in the comments, let's think about the range here. Ace king, kings, aces, ace queen, ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited, jacks, queens. Strictly one of these hands is what we're going to see. We block a king, which decreases the ace king and the kings the opponent is going to have. Also, I think the opponent would always start with a check if he had ace king or kings, because in this spot he would never want us to fold. Exploitatively, I just put the money in. We also go all in, and next to act folds, and let's roll a clip.
Queen jack ace.
Twice if you would allow it, but
Sure, twice is fine. I don't care.
Might be the biggest pot of the night.
I think it is.
Wait.
Wait, let me get it. Hold on, for the vlog. Let me get it all set up.
So wait, what's your out? So queen,
jack.
jack,
Queen to the ace.
queen, jack, ace. No queen, no jack, no ace.
How many times, boys?
2.
2 times, please.
2 times.
It's me.
Serious?
Those good to me first.
Full house.
That full house. It's me.
Nice
Cool.
one.
Nice hand.
10. I mean, that's
We're in the big blind with jack 10 of hearts, the undergun player raises, and 4 people call behind. If I 3-bet here, this is going to look extremely strong again, and I know that some players could be uncapped and they want to play trappy, so I just flick into call to see a chip flop. The flop is king 9 deuce with the king of hearts. We're going to check out of position and the action checks around. The turn is now the 8 of hearts, giving us an open ender and a flush draw. I'm going to take a different line and donk bet for about half pot here, and if I get raised, I already have my mind made up to 3-bet jam to realize my equity. 4 players get out of the way, and only the button player calls. The river rolls up the 5 of hearts, completing the flush, and I think this other player that arrived here with a weak top pair type of hand. The villain in this hand is my buddy, and I have polarizing sizing that I use against this player for about 80 to 150% of the pot. I've used the sizing against him to show up with complete air and absolute nuts multiple times before, so this time's no different when I actually have the goods. I lead out for 125. For reference, any other player, I'd go relatively small here for about 40 to 50 bucks, trying to get a crying call from weak top pair, but against this player, I exploitatively increase my value size because I know his action will not change based on my sizing, which is showing his inelasticity against this size. He says he wants to make the vlog more enjoyable, so he does this, and this is how the action goes.
Alright, I have a red card and a black card. It's binding. You pick a card. Red I call, black I
Oh,
fold.
this is perfect for the vlog.
This one, wait, I gotta get this on vlog. So red
he calls,
Red I call, black I fold.
I have a flush.
You're good. Shit. I thought Jack 10 was in there, but I didn't think.
We take down this balloon pot, and big thanks to Mike for the minigame deciding his action at the Ducks end. From the big blind. There's a raise from under the gun to 6, the cutoff 3 bets to 12, the button calls, I call. The initial raise is now 4 bets to 40, it calls all the way around to me. I'm happy to go 4 ways into the flop for set mining, and we go to 1 with $160 in the middle. It is queen 4-5, 2 clubs. I check out of position and every single person checks around. The turn comes the 3 of clubs. Anyone can have anything, so I check and flow. When it checks around again, the river is now the 3 of diamonds. I check, initial 4 better checks, the cutoff player stabs for 65. The button player folds, and the action is on to me. This is always a bluff, ladies and gentlemen. The issue is my hand even loses to a hand like 4-5 or ace-4, ace-5. So he thinks he could be bluffing, but he could be getting value from worse here. I don't think this player would bluff if he actually had a pair of some sort. He might think that is good at the point. So when he bets 65, I strictly think he has 2 high cards that don't have a pair. I tank about 40 seconds, I flick in my chips, the undergun player folds, and the cutoff immediately mucks his cards, and our ducks take it down. This is a very overbluffed line, so making the call was not too hard. I was just not sure if I was losing to their bluffs or not. The cutoff opens for 20, I call and flow. The small blind now 3 bets to 75, folds all the way around to the cutoff, who calls. I can pay 55 to close the action, which is what I do. We go 3 ways into the flop of 6-9 deuce rainbow. The big blind now open jams for 132 more. I'm obviously not going anywhere, as how like this game has been playing, I call. The opponent shows pocket eights and we have him in bad shape. The runout is very clean and we take another massive pot. Later in the session, we pick up queen 6 of spades in the cutoff position. The low jack opens for $7. I call, the small blind calls, and the big blind calls. 4 ways to the flop of queen 8-9 rainbow. It checks all the way around to us, and I'm going to check it back here because I think I can get more value in later streets. The turn is a 10 of clubs. We obviously don't like it, as a jack now makes a straight. Some people in this table plays really straightforward with their top pair hands, so I'm gonna let them start to tell the story. The small blind doesn't disappoint when he leads 15 into 28. Leading half pot into 3 people is really strong, so the alarm bells are already going off in our head. I think this guy has a stronger queen most of the time, so I'm going to try to get him scared and go to the showdown cheaply by raising small here and making him check the river. I raise to 35 and he calls. The river is the miraculous 6 of hearts. 7 gets there as another straight. As planned, our opponent checks to us. Everything goes according to the plan about getting to the showdown cheaply, but I don't want to make it so cheap anymore. If my opponent had a straight, he would bet small here, try to get value for worse. Now, I want to get the maximum if he somehow has a worse 2 pair or a strong top pair. I asked to see his stack and he's very hesitant. It feels like we have the best hand. Last video, I was in an extremely similar situation with this exact player and I bet 30% pot and I got snapped. I told myself that if I ever was in a similar spot, I would size up, knowing that he would call bigger sizes with his top pair holdings. So I go 100. This may look like a very thin value and a very big bet on this dynamic board, but I trust my read and size up here. He snap calls, thinking we're beat, we reveal our hand, and we realize he was trapping all the way with ace queen and got sucked out on the river. I'm really with how I played this one, as I was able to get the absolute maximum value from his top side.
Yeah.
Right?
It's aces and a king, please.
It worked last time. No, kings and ace worked last
That's the same exact.
Oh my freaking god, this is what real dreams are made of. I'm acting the absolute last and I have the super starting nuts on a pineapple hand. The blood is rushing in my veins as I discard the king of spades to be left with the rockets. Middle position raised to 20, the button calls. We are not going 3 ways here with the rockets, so I 3-bet to 85 out of position. Both opponents find the call and we go to the biggest spot we've seen the entire night of queen jack deuce. This is frustrating because let's think about my opponent's pre-flop ranges. Especially considering the hand is a pineapple hand, we're blocking 1 king so the combos of kings are less likely, they're not calling with anything worse than ace king, we block aces, so I truly do believe that at least one of these guys have a set almost always here, which is why I decided to start with a check. It checks all the way around and the turn is a king. This just got way worse as a hand like king queen, queen jack, king jack now beats us. There's really nothing we beat at this point, including this is multi-way action. Sick to our stomach, but we check again because we pretty much have a bluff catcher on this board. Middle position doesn't disappoint when they go for a bet of 90. The button player now decides to cold call the 90. And this is the spot where a lot of people would make the mistake of calling or jamming, but you gotta understand that aces here are never going to be good, so I say fold and hold. The next card is a deuce. My opponents are all in and one of them shows pocket jacks and the other one has king queen. It's very frustrating to lose with aces in this spot, but I'm glad the analysis of my situation lost me the absolute minimum. We're in a small blind with ace 10 off, action limps around to me and I make it 15. Big blind calls and everyone gets out of the way. The flop comes pretty good, ace ace 9. We flop trips. I snap check as I will almost always have this board locked up unless my opponent has exactly pocket 9s. The opponent checks back. The turn is a deuce, changing nothing, and one read I have about this opponent that he will bet at a high frequency when checked to, so I want to set the trap when I immediately check once again. The opponent takes the baits and bets 35. There is no merit to raising since we're about $150-ish deep, so I will have a pot-sized bet left after I call. Also, I want to keep his bluffs in, so I flick in my chips. The river is a 3 of clubs, the backdoor flush completes, but it's not very likely that the opponent is going to have a flush here, and if he does, we'll probably see him go all in. I check for a third time to give my opponent some rope in case he has no showdown value. The villain does not disappoint when they go for a bet of 40. I believe if he had a flush here, his sizing would be all in, so I'm ahead of a lot of the value that he has. Based on the action, I believe I can get him curious with a middle pair like a 9. I just put the rest of my chips in, putting my opponent in a very tough spot. After he tanks, he makes the call for $87 more, and our ace is good. And look at king 8 of clubs in the big blind. First the act raises to 8, folds all the way around to me, which I call. The flop is pretty good when it comes queen 9-2, 2 clubs. I check and flow as the opponent's range has aces, kings, ace, queen, and all that good stuff. Very standard to see him go for a c bet of $10. If my flush draw was anything less than a king, I'll probably raise here, but my specific hand is pretty good to call. The turn comes a 10 of hearts, which gives us a gutter now to go along. This card will usually be really good for my range, as the opponent will check it back if I ever check it here. I want to keep his ace high, king high, or middling pocket pairs in, which is why I don't go too big when I bet 25. The opponent doesn't think too much and calls. The river is the 9 of spades, we miss. The question is, how much do I need to bet to get a hand like kings or ace queen folded? They probably call a half pot bet, so in order to get a fold from those hands, I have to go very big here. So I go 100, telling the story that I have 2 pair or better. The 100 in this game looks very strong as the table is playing. So there are a lot of 2 pair, straight, and set combos available that I'll play a very similar way as well. So this looks very strong. Opponent verbalizes that it's a good bet and folds his cards. He was also curious to what my cards were in this hand, and the answer is this, I guess.